I collected evidence of my wife's cheating for months before filing for divorce. It paid off massively. Hey Reddit, I'm Thaddeus, and I have a story for you. Buckle up, because this ride gets pretty bumpy. My 33M life took a nosedive when I found out my wife, Serafina, 31F, was cheating on me. We've been married for 8 years, and I never suspected a thing until a few months ago. It all started innocently enough. Serafina had become more secretive with her phone, and her late-night work meetings became more frequent. At first, I'd brushed it off. I mean, we all have stressful periods at work, right? But then, I noticed the change in her behavior. She'd always been affectionate, but suddenly, she seemed distant and preoccupied. One night, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed. I glanced at it and saw a message from someone named Felix. The message was harmless on the surface, but my gut told me otherwise. I decided to dig a little deeper. I installed a keylogger on our shared computer and started monitoring her messages. It didn't take long to confirm my suspicions. Felix was more than a friend or colleague. The messages were flirtatious, and it was clear they were planning to meet up. My heart sank. I couldn't believe this was happening. I decided to confront her, but not before gathering more evidence. Over the next few weeks, I documented everything: screenshots, photos of her meeting Felix, and even a recording of a phone conversation. It was painful, but I knew I needed solid proof for what I was about to do. When I finally confronted Serafina, she denied everything at first, but when I showed her the evidence, she broke down and confessed. She begged for forgiveness, saying it was a mistake and that she'd end things with Felix, but it was too late. My trust was shattered. I filed for divorce the next day, armed with all the evidence I'd collected. It was a long and painful process, but in the end, I got what I wanted: a clean break and custody of our 2 children. It was a massive relief, and I felt like I could finally start to heal. After the divorce, I focused on rebuilding my life. I moved to a new city with my kids and started a new job. It was tough, but we were managing. I met new people and even started dating again. Life was slowly getting back to normal. One day, I reconnected with an old friend, Callista, 30F. We'd known each other since college, and she'd always been a good friend. We started hanging out more often, and before I knew it, we were dating. It felt different this time. Callista was kind, understanding, and supportive. She knew about my past and accepted me for who I was. Things were going well until Serafina started causing problems. She'd occasionally call or text asking to see the kids. At first, I was accommodating. After all, she was their mother. But then, she started showing up unannounced, causing scenes in front of my house. It was unsettling, and I had to take legal action. I got a restraining order against her, hoping it would keep her away. It worked for a while, but then she found a new way to torment me. She started spreading rumors about Callista and me, telling people that I was an abusive father and that Callista was a homewrecker. It was infuriating. I had worked so hard to move on, and now she was trying to ruin it all. But I didn't let her win. I documented everything and took her to court. The judge saw through her lies, and she was warned to stay away from us. I thought that was the end of it, but I was wrong. Callista and I got engaged, and we started planning our wedding. It was supposed to be a joyous occasion, but Serafina had other plans. She somehow found out about the wedding and decided to crash it. I had a bad feeling leading up to the day, but I hoped for the best. On the day of the wedding, everything seemed perfect. The venue was beautiful, the weather was great, and everyone was in high spirits. But then, just as we were about to say our vows, Serafina showed up. She stormed into the venue, screaming and causing a scene. My heart sank. I tried to calm her down, but she was relentless. She accused Callista of stealing me from her and started throwing insults at everyone. It was a nightmare. The guests were shocked, and some even left. I couldn't believe this was happening. Callista was in tears, and I was furious. I called the police, and they escorted Serafina out. But the damage was done. Our special day was ruined, and I felt like a failure. How could I let this happen? The days following the wedding were tough. Callista and I were heartbroken, and I felt responsible for the chaos. I couldn't shake the guilt. We decided to have a small, private ceremony to make up for the ruined wedding, but it wasn't the same. Serafina continued to be a thorn in our side. She ignored the restraining order and kept trying to contact us. It was exhausting. I sought legal advice and decided to take her to court again. This time, I wanted full custody of the kids and a permanent restraining order. The court battle was intense. Serafina painted herself as the victim, but I had all the evidence to prove otherwise. The judge saw through her act and granted me full custody. Serafina was ordered to stay away from us permanently. It was a victory, but it felt hollow. I was drained, and my relationship with Callista had suffered. We decided to go to couples counseling to work through our issues. It was a long and painful process, but we made progress. Slowly, we started to rebuild our lives. Months passed, and life began to settle down. Callista and I focused on our relationship and the kids. We moved to a new house, hoping for a fresh start. It wasn't easy, but we were determined to make it work. One day, I received a letter from Serafina. It was an apology, acknowledging all the pain she'd caused. She said she was getting help and wanted to make amends. I didn't know how to feel. Part of me wanted to forgive her, but another part of me couldn't forget what she'd done. I decided to focus on my family and let go of the past. Serafina had her own path to walk, and I had mine. I didn't respond to the letter, but I felt a sense of closure. Callista and I got married again, this time without any drama. It was a simple ceremony with just our closest friends and family. It was perfect. We finally felt at peace. Looking back, I realize how far we've come. The journey was painful, but it made us stronger. I learned to trust again and found happiness in the most unexpected places. Life isn't perfect, but it's ours, and we're making the most of it. So, Reddit. That's my story. It's been a wild ride, but I wouldn't change a thing. Thanks for listening.